is Joy Agagwu, and the IELTS tutor for overseas nurses. We started a discussion on writing task 1 a week, not a week ago, that was on Saturday. And we did say that we will continue from where we stopped, and we will finish writing task 1 then before any other thing. So if we don't finish today, our subsequent classes are still going to be on writing task 1 until we are finished with that. Then we can go back to reading and speaking and listening and the rest of them. It's a good thing, and I'm happy that many of your tasks are coming in. The writing task 2 assignments that you got, I was not able to gather much of the writing task 1 like I said I will. I thought I would be able to get some of them. I was not able to. That notwithstanding, it's not going to stop us from having our classes. We will continue with the classes. Okay. So today we are going to go on with our discussion. In our last class, we did have a talk about writing task 1, and we did line graph. We did the bar graph. So today, we have also discussed the line graph, but we didn't have a sample of it. We may have a sample of it in the course of the class, where you will have, to discuss the fluctuations or the changes that has taken place over a period of time. And then for those of us that don't know or don't remember or were not in the last class, we discussed the tax, the band descriptors, and we have talked about them extensively. I'm not going to start going into that now. We talked about the different types of tasks that you can see in writing task 1, and we mentioned them. The flow charts, floor maps, we have the maps, general maps, we have graphs, line graphs, bar charts, pie charts, okay? And we have tables, we have diagrams as well. We have diagram like the diagram of a machine and invention and things like that. They will all come out. The good thing is you're only going to see one of these in your test, just one of it. So we are hoping that you will find what you are quite familiar with. Like our rule is in this class, if you join the class, if you have to join the class on Zoom, please do put on your video. We want to see your faces. It's a visual class, and so we should see you. Other than that, if you are in a place where you can't, be on video, you may want to join us on YouTube. I mean, it's the same data anyway, so you may want to watch live on YouTube, or you may want to watch later if you want to. But if you're here with us, please do put on your video, or I will be forced to remove you from the class. Thank you. So yeah, we are going to be, we have discussed, okay, about a table, and we talked about the different types of tasks that you will find. We said we did mention of the static task and the changeover time task. Static task where it's just a period of time, and the changeover time where it is from a particular period to a particular period. And in those static tasks, when you see a static task, what you are actually meant to be doing is to be highlighting and summarizing, what you can see, the variables that are very, very prominent and all of that. While in the changeover time kind of task, you are expected to discuss changes that has occurred over this period of time. If there were things that had changed, that has changed either in size, or that has reduced, or that had doubled, if there were things that had phased out and were no longer there, if there were things that were significantly, or things that were not even mentioned and they are now being mentioned, yeah. If there are things like that, those are the things you'll be looking for. And usually when you have a changeover time kind of task, sometimes you will have them, more especially in maps, where you will have two maps showing you maybe a particular period, where maybe in the year 1990, you had a map, and then in the year 2090, you have a map, and they will give you two maps of a particular place. Or sometimes they will tell you these are the changes that are expected, okay, like a plan. It has not happened. It's like a plan that maybe a proposed site for something, maybe like a playground, and you will have two maps. They will give you like two different sites, maybe for a particular building or for a school. They'll tell you that these are two proposed sites for a building of a school. You know, they are expecting you to describe both graphs at the end of the day. So today we will move further by picking another example. We talked about a single graph and a double graph. Okay, a single graph, a double graph is where you have two of those items. You have two diagrams and you're expected to discuss both of them. On the single, when you have just one of it. What else? We did talk about the structure of the writing task 1, and we said that the writing task 1 is generally made up of 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is your general statement and your overall statement. Some of us call it the overall statement, all right? So you paraphrase, and we said for you to get that, you paraphrase the question that you have been given by taking note of your key points and getting synonyms for them so that you are able to say this same thing, you know, by you are making the same statement but using different words, and you've not changed the meaning of the statement, and that your overall statement will be what you can see, you know, just merely looking at the mask, what at the maps or at the diagram or at the given graph or whatever you've been given, merely looking at it, what you can see is your overall statement. And then in paragraph 1, I did mention that depending on the kind of task that you're given, for instance, if you are given a task where you have two maps, you can make your choice to discuss the two maps. I mean, you discuss map 1, discuss map 2, or you can choose the items on the map to discuss both of them. For instance, you have two pie charts where you have different items on it occupying different percentages, all right, maybe of an expenses, okay, and you have biscuits, you have sugar, maybe household expenses like groceries, all right, so you have like Coke or drinks, and you have noodles, you have water and all of that in different percentages, okay, on one and on the other. But on one of them, maybe some are smaller or some are quite small, while on the other one they are quite, you know, they've increased and they are quite big, or they occupy that they bought more of them, okay, or they use more of them. So here in this kind of a map, if you see this kind of a diagram, you are expected to discuss them in two ways, where you can discuss either you pick one of them and you finish up what is on it, or you pick the items, okay, pick water from here and water from here and discuss the percentage of water. In this kind of a diagram, is that you're expected to sometimes discuss from the ones that occupy the highest, the one that they spent more money on, or the ones that they spent less money on. So if you pick them that way, you will be able to pick every item on it and you will not miss out on any of them. There are some tasks that you are given, like the process task. For example, if you have a process graph where they are talking about the production of a particular thing, you know that there's nothing like you are going to discuss one and discuss the other. It's nothing like that. What you do for this type of a task is to identify a start point, okay, count how many processes are involved in the whole of this thing. Maybe there are 5 or there are 10. Let's say there are 10, for example, and then you now find your starting point. Okay, where did you start from? You remember that you are expected to write in 3 paragraphs at the end of the day. So the whole of this discussion, you need to split it into 2. So if you discuss the first part, you know, maybe 1 to 5, then 6 to 10 in the second part. That way you'll be able to cover all of the processes that are involved in your process graph that you have been given, or process diagram that you have been given. From the example of last week, we talked about the students that enjoyed certain things, okay? Today, we are going to see if we can discuss, let's see, process, line graph. Where's my line graph? Yeah. We're going to say a line graph. A line graph, yes. We will discuss a line graph. I'm sharing my screen with you. I have to make it bold a little bit so you can see it better. Just give me a few seconds, please. So we're going to be discussing a line graph today. Yeah. I'm sharing this screen. Please, if you want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. Okay. So I have a graph that is showing. Can you see my screen now? Yeah. Jesus. Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay, so we have a line graph. Here is a change over time task. Excuse me. It's a change over time task. You can see that it's from a particular period to a particular period. It's not just, a 1 year or a 2 year kind of something. Now we have a map, a graph that is showing us the number of men and women that smoke cigarettes in Australia. Number of men and women that smoked in Australia from the year 1960 up until the year 2000. From 1960 to 2000. Okay, you are advised to spend a maximum of 20 minutes on this task. It means that you can spend less than 20 minutes on the task, okay? The line chart below shows the number of men and women that smoke cigarettes in Australia from 1960 to the year 2000. You can see that this graph carries just 2 lines, isn't it? It's just 2 lines because they are just 2 variables, the men and the women. Okay, so we are going to be discussing the men and the women. It is just in Australia. Remember, what did we say we would do when we say our question? First of all, what we'll do is to note our keywords. All right, note our keywords. When you note your keywords, you do what? You get synonyms for those keywords. And then what do you do with your synonyms? You go ahead and you paraphrase. Okay, when you have paraphrased, what do we say? You say your overall statement. So overall is what you can see. From every look of things here, you will find out that, let's do it as a class task. I think it's better. We can all see it. Can you all see this task? Can we all see the task?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, you can write it down. You can write it down if you want. You can take a screenshot if you want to take a screenshot. The line chart below shows the number of men and women that smoked in Australia, smoked cigarettes in Australia. Our key points here, what are our keywords here? The line chart. We can say a line graph. We can say the given diagram. Okay, we can say the graph below. All right. If we say any of that, it's still correct. Okay, it shows the number, it gives an information. It gives the information or is a data. Okay, it shows the number of men. What do we use for number? Countables. What do we use for them? What other words can we use for number?
Figure or quantity.
Start saying them. Start saying them. Oh, yeah.
Or quantity.
Quantity. Can you use quantity in this statement?
Figure.
Figure. Okay. What other word can we use? Can we use quantity in this statement? I used to think that quantity is something that has to do with uncountable nouns, isn't it?
Amount of.
Amount of.
How many?
Okay. Shows how many men and women smoke in Australia, smoke cigarettes in Australia. So smoking of cigarettes, what do we do? What if we say statistics? Does it fit? Does it fit?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I thought there's even an expo here. It fits, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what are we going to use for cigarette smoking?
Can we use weed? Weed.
Is it all cigarettes that are weed?
No, not really.
Okay, so how are you going to say it so that it does not appear like in this country? When I came here for the first time, I heard about fag. Do you know what it is to fag?
Is it
To
fatigue?
To fag is to smoke cigarette. To take a fag. She went to fag. I just fagged. It's an English word. Look for it on your dictionary. You'll find it. F-A-G. All right. What about puff? What are they doing? Eh? Peace, what are they doing?
They are smoking.
What is that thing called? What is it called?
It's puffing. They are puffing out.
Puffing. They're puffing. So can we use that? Eh?
Yes, ma.
Good.
Yes, we can use it.
Okay, and is there another way of saying it and still saying cigarette and smoking together? The statistics of people that are involved, of males and females that are involved in cigarette smoking. Is there not another way of saying it? Remember I told you that most of the times you can't change every word, but when you can, as much as possible, try to change them. So if, for instance, in the exam hall, your brain is not thinking about fagging or puffing, then your brain can think about another way to say this thing and not repeat the same thing exactly. I mean, as exact as the question is. Do you understand? So if we say that it is a statistics, okay, showing the male and female smokers in Australia, you see that? Have we not gotten something different? Male and female smokers in Australia. So now let's look at it. For us to get our overall statement, how do we start? You look at this, what will you say as your overall? Look at that of the men in 1960. It started from 6 million and ended on 3 million. Okay. What about the women? It started from 1 million and ended on 2 million. So overall, using the beginning and the end, what do you want to say about this? Overall, what do we want to say? Did the number of men that smoked increase or decreased?
Decreased.
Thank you. What about the number of women that smoked? Did it increase or decrease?
It increased.
So if I have an overall statement saying that overall, okay, the number of male smokers reduced drastically,
Or decline.
while that of the females increased significantly. Is it correct or not?
It's correct.
It's correct. Don't worry, I'm the examiner here. It's correct. It's correct. So if I decide to say that, it's correct. Okay. Okay. So if I also decide to say that overall, the number of women that smoked increased but fluctuated, okay, or increased after fluctuating several times over the course of the years, while that of the men decreased steadily. If you have a look, from 6 million, it came down gradually, kind of, up to about 4 million in the year 1980, at about 1980. Then it was steady, and then decreased again, and then started decreasing again and decreased up to about 2.8 or 2.7 in the year 1995, then increased a bit, okay, where it ended on 3 million in the year 2000. So over the years, the number of men that smoked had reduced. For the women, it started on 1 million, increased gradually up to about 2.8 in 1965, okay? Then kept increasing, all right, slowly, more slow now this time around, but saw a sudden rise between 1970 and 1975, and it peaked for them at about 3.5 million. Then decreased dramatically and steadied again over the years from 1980 until 1985, where it reduced dramatically, slowly. I mean, it reduced slowly but steadily until it attained the 2 million again in the year 2000. I've finished all the explanation. I've finished the explanation. Okay, so I told us, when I was discussing this with us last week, I did mention that there are some words that are associated with every task that you are given. Those were the words I just used in the description of this graph. They just wanted me to explain what the graph is about. I have just explained that this is a graph showing men and women that smoked in Australia from 1960 to the year 2000. Overall, from what I can see from the graph, I have discovered that the number of men, okay, or male smokers generally reduced over this period of time dramatically or significantly, while females have increased in the same period. Second paragraph. The men that were involved in smoking started, or the number of men started from 6 million. Then it reduced gradually up until 1980, where it steadied it reduced gradually onto 4 million in 1980, where it maintained a steady, outcome until 1985 or thereabout, and then started to reduce or to decrease, and it plunged, okay? Its lowest point was what now? The lowest point, let me see, approximately 2.7. Approximately, and attained its lowest point at approximately 2.7 million, then increased a little bit up to 3 million in the year 2000. One paragraph is gone. second paragraph, or second, if I say body paragraph, you may think it's tax 2. The third paragraph now is going to talk about the females. Females started smoking on 1 million in 1960, and then they increased gradually to 2 million in 1970. Then it saw a sudden rise or a surge, okay, and peaked in 1975 on 3.5 million, then reduced drastically to 3 million again in 1980. There was a period, a significant period of it being steady between 1980 to 1985, and then reduced steadily or slowly until 2002, where there were only 2 million smokers, at that point. So if you explain this, you have got your marks. All you need to do is to get the words to put in between, explain, putting the number of years and what the score or what the number was for them in that particular year. One thing I want you to understand in this kind of a graph or in this kind of a task is the fact that you should not be too exact. If you notice, you keep hearing me saying up to about or thereabout. Up to about or thereabout. This is because these particular numbers, besides 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, the things that are in between are not labeled. So you don't have to be too sure. You can approximate, okay? When you approximate that way, your examiner is not going to hold you too responsible for saying a number or a particular figure that is not exact. Do we understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Lovett, do you understand what we are doing here? Angela, are you following this class?
Yes. Then in comparison, both of them in a particular year experienced the same, had
They
a
were all
steady,
steady. They were both
yes,
steady.
in 1980 to 1985.
Perfect. If I asked you to compare and contrast, now you will give me that. Okay? Tawa.
Yes, ma'am.
Tawa Khalid,
Yes, ma'am.
are you following this class?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So, you see that your tasks will be much more easier if you do understand how it is done. From this graph that we have seen, we discovered that the number of male smokers decreased, while that of the female smokers increased. Now, we picked the males and we discussed the males. Then we picked the females and discussed the female. Is anyone confused on how to attack this kind of a question? How did we do it? I told you that first of all, you should read this task, okay, understand it, underline your keywords, get your vocabularies, okay, and then get your problem statement. Remember that this task, is it about number or percentages? We did it from the beginning, it's about numbers. So what were our key points? Our key point was the point when both of them started. That's what we used, and the point they ended. That's what we used for our overall statement. Now, also part of the key point here is where it peaked for both of them. The highest number of men that smoked was on 6 million at the beginning, while that of the female that smoked was on 3.5 million. The lowest for women was on 1 million, while the lowest for men was on, let me see, about 2.8 or 2.7 million. That was in the year 1995. So what have we done? We have picked the start point for both of them. We have picked the highest point for both of them. We have picked the lowest point for both of them. Okay? And we have picked the end point for both of them. Now we have seen also that there was a time when both of them were steady. So when we did that, we now divided these points and we were able to make statements with the 3 or the 6 points or 7 or 9 or 10, whatever number of points that you have been able to gather. That's what you are going to use. So you work out your overall summary and then you will go ahead to answer your question. You write your task. Now we are going to move to a process diagram. When you have a process diagram is talk. Go ahead with your question.
Okay. Please, in that graph, in the overall statement, could one also say overall the number of men who fag increased over the period, while that of the females fluctuated? Could the word fluctuated be used for females since it increased, decreased, and rose again?
It fluctuated now. But the number of men, did it increase? The number for men did not increase at any point.
Decreased.
It decreased.
Yes,
it decreased. But the one for females fluctuated and still ended that it increased. So if you say it fluctuated, did it fluctuate and at the end of the day was lower over the years, or it was higher over the years? If you say it was higher over the years, which is the correct one, are you able to arrange your statement in such a way that you can give all of those statements without making any grammatical errors? If you are able to, then it's fine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, any other question? Any other question, please? Is it okay to go forward? Okay, so process diagram. A process diagram can also be said to be a flow chart, like where it moves from one level to the other. You know the way the organogram is, organogram in nursing, or the health, let's use nursing generally, the organogram in nursing, where we have the director of nursing services at the top, and then an arrow comes down and goes to deputy director of nursing. And then under deputy director of nursing, we now have the ADNS and then the CNOs, then the ACNOs, and then we have what now? The PNOs, the SNOs, NO1, NO2. That is a process, that is a flow chart, beginning from the top to a bottom. Okay, so if you have that kind of a chart, it's called a process diagram. It's a process, it's the process of the organogram in nursing. Now, you may have a process diagram for a production of something or how to make a particular item. Or you may have a process diagram for the destruction of something, how to destroy a particular thing. So how you get the death from one place to the other and all of that. And then at the end of the day, it's incinerated. It can be a process. Whatever process you are giving is not the problem. What you need to do is just to write about it. You don't have to have a pre-knowledge, okay, of that particular process, because they are not asking you anything other than what is written in front of you in your test papers. So this kind of question is designed to test your ability to compare and contrast information that you get in a process diagram. Here, remember that your words should still be from 150 words, okay? It should not be less than 150 words. At least you can write up to 170 words. That will be fine. And that you have just 20 minutes at the most. 20 minutes at the most to complete your writing task 1. Remember your grammatical range and accuracies. All of those things, you need to put them into practice. Now, this kind of writing is where your sentence starts with the object and the subject of the sentence is often missed out. So if you see a process, you need to start with that particular process that starts it. If not, you are going to miss out certain processes. How do we answer this kind of question? I told us that we are going to brainstorm. When you brainstorm, first of all, at a glance, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. How many processes are involved in all of this? Now that they said I'm expected to write 3 paragraphs, and in the 3 paragraphs, it's only 2 paragraphs that are going to discuss this. If there are 12 processes, now I'm going to put 6 of the processes in each paragraph. Okay, so if I'm going to put 6 in each paragraph, am I going to write from number 1 to number 6 or number 1 to number 7? How many am I picking? So your number 1 to number 6 becomes your first paragraph. Your start point, you need to identify a start point, which you have identified. So automatically, you have been able to divide your work into 2. You have been able to divide the entire process into 2. How do you start? For your processes, steps in a process, for example, you can say something like, the first step in the process is, then, or you say the first stage in the process is, or you can say maybe the process begins with, or the process commences with. Those are your starting phrases. Do you get my point? Then, when you are explaining what is in there, or you want to add processes to processes, you can use words like this stage, from this stage it proceeds to, okay, or subsequently, or after this, or the next stage is, the next phase is, or in the following phase, in the following stage, in the following process, or following this, comma, and continue your statement. If you have gotten to the end and for like a conclusion, or for like your final stages, your final step, what do? The process finishes with process, whatever, or the process concludes with, or the last step is, or the final step or stage in the process is, or ending with, and that's it. Now, you need to know that these things are related. These things are related. So you need to use the words that are related to whatever question you have been asked. If you have been given a flow map, for instance, and on that flow map, like I tried to arrange to talk about the nursing, whatever, you can have director of nursing topmost, and then arrow comes down and you have deputy director of maybe rota, or maybe administration, or maybe nursing practices, or hospital management board. So under that first one, you have about 4 under it. Then under each of them, you have maybe 1 or 2. each. So at the end of the day, you have a process that is having different arms. When you have that kind of process, it's not just straightforward from director of nursing to whatever CNO to PNO, if it's not straightforward like that. How do you describe those ones? So when you want to describe the location of the different, whatever under the organogram or under the process or the flow chart that you have, what are the kind of words that you use? Adjacent to, if they are next to each other, alongside, okay? Or if one is beneath the other, you can say beneath or underneath. If the other one is above, you can say above. So those are descriptive words that are used for the location of objects, okay? Are we understanding, or I'm just talking to myself?
Yes, ma.
We understand what I'm trying to explain, right?
Yes, ma.
Yes,
Good.
ma'am.
So you need to know what word you are going to use. If not, at the end of the day, you find out that you are scoring less mark in a place where you would have scored more mark because of your description. Like words like, if you have, I told us about location as well, where you have maybe something is on the right hand side of one, the other is on the left, the other is beneath, or the other one is maybe topmost. You can use words like on the top, okay, top left, top right. This is my right, okay, top right, top left, okay. You can say on the right hand, on right side of, or on the right of, or on the left of. And maybe there's a particular one in between. You can say words like between or equidistance from. It's not a big word. Equidistance from is from equal distance from here and here. When something is, it's not far from this and it's not far from this. Like if I keep these three things here now, if I keep these two things here, and I keep my phone as well here, at the end of the day, this one here in the middle is equidistant from the phone and the cup. So when you have an organogram or you have a process or a flow map where you have something in between, and there are three and there's one in between, and you want to describe the one that is in between, then you can say between or equidistance from. Okay? I hope we understand. So, for instance, you also have a process graph where you are talking about maybe one stage that led to the other. You can say a word like in order to, or as a result of, or so as to, or eventually. So from this one, you eventually get this one, or consequently. Hannah, stop squeezing your face now. Did I confuse you? Eh? Did I confuse you?
No, ma, I'm only trying to follow you.
Okay, that's fine. So for all of these, if you come across questions that are, that are like these things that we're discussing, you can actually take a screen grab. When you bring them to the class, I can let you share your screen and we can discuss such questions. So when you have a process graph and we want you to describe it, first of all, what do? You read the question and the process diagram, underlining the keywords. You paraphrase your keywords where it is possible, okay? And then you look for, there are some areas that may not be labeled. If there is anyone like that, you can label it for yourself. Name them so that you can, use them for your description. Then you look for a logical start point, like I told you. Get a logical start point. Look for a logical middle point where you can divide. I already did that with you. And then you number your steps in the process so that you know how many steps am I putting in one paragraph, how many steps am I grouping in another paragraph. Then you go ahead to write your report, and then you can proofread your work at the end of the day. Remember the structure, that there's an introduction where you rephrase the question and you give an overall summary of the process. the overall summary of the process, what are we going to do? It should carry the number of the steps in the process, if possible, the number of the materials used, if possible, and the amount of equipment used, if there are equipments that are mentioned in that place. We will do an example. Your body, the body, make sure that you write about every stage of the process. Don't leave out any stage. If there are less than 8 or 9, you will have to, write a sentence for every step so that you don't group them together, so that you can have a good enough paragraph. Remember, I told us about our paragraphing, that for us to say a paragraph is really good, it should have at least how many sentences? 4 sentences put together, at least 4 sentences. So if you have a process where it's less than 8 that can give you 4 sentences for each of the paragraphs, please write sentence for each of them. Make sure you write a sentence for each. Just make sure. Pick a particular process. I'm sure you won't come across such though, but peradventure you come across it, because it is not an impossibility. Pick each of them so that your words can be up to 150. If not, you finish writing and your words are still short. And if maybe you get more than 10 steps, you can group them together in such a way that you can group two stages together. That way you won't have too much words to write. So you just have to write moderately, be in between, so that you don't lose marks at the end of the day. Now, in your process graph, for example, sometimes there may be a logical separation point in the process where you can divide for yourself. It may be very, very visible. But if it's not visible, you go ahead and separate them into 2. Do you understand? Please, so don't write a conclusion. No, nobody is asking you for conclusion. Okay? Don't write a conclusion. Don't write a conclusion. Now, there's a process graph that we did before. We've done it before. It will be too easy for you people now. Let's do it all the same. So let's see. Okay. Let's see whether some people have forgotten what we did before, or they still remember. We have new people among us though, so that should be able to help. I'm sharing my screen. Oluwaseun, I don't think I've seen you in this class before. Please put on your video. Frank G, one of the criteria for joining our class is that you have your video on. If you can't have your video on, there's no problem. Please go to the YouTube and watch, or you can watch the class later on. Thank you. Let's share screen and see. Okay. Can we see the screen now? Yeah. Can we see the screen?
Yes. Yes, ma.
Good. The diagram below shows the various stages involved in the production of beer. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. Make comparisons where relevant. So it means it may not be relevant. Okay, so these are the steps involved in the making of beer. Okay. The diagram below, they're giving diagram, they're giving picture, they're giving what now? This is not a graph. You can't say graph. Don't say graph. So the given diagram, the given picture, it shows the various stages involved in the production of beer. Let's paraphrase it, and then we'll go ahead and count. What other word, Helen, can we use for stages? Helen.
Illustration.
What other word can we use for stages? Please, synonyms for stages.
Steps.
Thank you. Hannah, what other word can we use for production?
Manufacture.
Okay. Helen. No, how did I miss that? Tower. Tower, what other word can we use for beer? Alcoholic drink. So since it is alcoholic drink and we are looking at production, will I be right to say brewing of alcohol?
Yes, ma'am.
We know that the process of beer making is called brewing, right?
Yes,
we brew
ma'am.
beer. So if you, it's not compulsory you must say manufacture. If you know what is related to that particular thing, all right, it's not wrong. In fact, it's very correct for you to go ahead and use that. So if I say that the given picture, the given diagram, or okay, this is the diagram below, illustrates the steps involved, the steps, okay, or illustrate the steps in the brewery of alcoholic drinks. I am still correct and I'm saying the same thing. Now I'm going to summarize. Overall, how do we get our overall statement? Let's count. How many stages do we have here? How many stages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
11 stages.
Are there 11?
It involves 11 stages. I don't want to.
Are there 11? Are there 10? Are there 9?
Steps.
Hello, ma.
Is 11.
Who will list the steps? Who will list the
11.
steps for me? Tower, how many steps?
Milling, machine,
1,
loss,
2,
Laundry.
3,
painting,
4, 5,
filtering,
6, eh? You have only called 6. So what happens to boiling, whirlpool, cooling, and packaging? What happens to those steps? You see that you are not following the arrow. You people need to be very careful when you say diagram. Now, from the milling to matching to loitering, then it goes to boiling, then to the whirlpool and to cooling, before it goes to fermenting, maturing, filtering, and packaging. But you just went like this. You just went like this. If you do that in your explanation, you are not going to get it right. Do you understand?
Yes.
You need to be careful. You need to watch the diagram very well. Whatever data you have been given, watch it well. Okay? So me, I have been able to count that there are 10 steps. I counted 10 steps. Are there 10 steps or not?
10 steps.
Who has 11 steps? You said 11, please. So where is the 11th step?
Well, no, ma, I was counting that packaging, the bottle, the can, and the van. I was counting them all together.
Okay, don't count it. So we have the whole process. The process begins with milling, to matching, to loitering, to boiling, to whirlpool, to cooling, and then to fermenting, maturing, filtering, and packaging. Now there are 10 steps all in all. I want to identify a start point. I'm identifying my start point as the milling. What do they mill? We mill the malted barley. Helen. Okay, it's okay, I've done it. From the milling of malted barley, that will be my start point. Now that there are 10 steps, I can decide to choose to make it into 5. But from every look of things, I can only arrange 6 together here. You see this long arrow here? Yeah? I can decide to make it 5. I can decide to make it 6 and 4. Why 6 and 4? Because from every look of things, these ones here together, are you seeing my cursor? These ones here together seems to have a group on their own, and these ones here like this seems to have a group on their own. So from my own diagram here, from what I'm seeing, I have decided to make it 2 paragraphs from all of this, and I've decided to make it 6 and 4. You won't be wrong. It only means that sometimes one of the paragraphs may be longer than the other one, which is still fine. So long as the second one, which is smaller, still has the requirements to make up a paragraph. So from every look of things, we have done our paraphrasing. What is our overall statement? Our overall statement is that overall, there are about 10 stages, okay, in the manufacturing of beer. I have used brewing the first time. Now I'm going to use manufacturing. There are about 10 stages in the manufacturing of beer, beginning from the milling, okay, from the milling of malted barley until the packaging of the ready-made beer to distribute or to send to customers or whatever, anyhow I want to write it. Beginning from the milling of malted barley to the packaging of the prepared beer or drink. Beginning from the milling of the malted barley, okay, to packaging of the beer into cans and drums and vehicles, if that's how I want to say it. I've given you 3 ways of saying this. Do you understand? So now, if we got that overall statement correctly, what do? We start our explanation. The first process or the first stage in the processes is the milling of malted barley. This is followed by matching, where water is added into the milled barley. Can you see how I'm going? The next step is loitering. At the stage of loitering, spent grain is taken out for animal feed. This stage is preceded, okay, by from this stage, it proceeds to boiling, where sugar and hops are added for taste. Then it is packaged into how do we describe this kind of container now? Like a cone? Does it look like a cone? Yeah. It looks like a cone, into a cone-shaped tank, okay, for while pulling. After that, it is allowed to cool.
Or can we call this a silo?
A silo is fine. It is allowed to cool at the stage of cooling. I go back. Consequently, the cooled beer in process is transferred into drums for fermenting. At the stage of fermenting, there is an addition of yeast, liberal addition of yeast, see plenty yeast inside to help the fermentation. From where it is transferred into bigger tanks or more tanks and allowed to mature, then it is filtered and made ready for packaging into drums and bottles for vehicles to take away. The final stage is packaging. From filtering, it proceeds to the final stage of packaging, where the made beer or the prepared beer is put into cans and drums and bottles and vehicles. Is it easy?
It's easy but confusing.
Inukwa. It's easy but confusing. Let's handle the confusing part. What is confusing here?
But
Where are you
sometimes most
confused?
of this diagram.
The diagram, right?
Yes.
That's why there's an arrow to tell you that from milling to matching, from matching to loitering, from loitering to boiling, then to whirlpool, then to cooling, then to fermenting, arrow to maturing, arrow to filtering, arrow to the packaging. So you need to just take note of the small things that you see around. Every detail, take note of every detail. If it's a process graph like this, a process diagram like this, for you to get your overall statement, count the number of processes that are involved, okay? And get the first one and the last one. Join them together with your paraphrased question prompt. That is your overall statement. One paragraph down, you have passed that one. Then count the number of stages that are involved, divide them into two, okay? Get a logical start point, get a logical end point, get a middle point as well. So the first stage up will form your first paragraph. The second stage down from that downside will form your second paragraph. And at the end of the day, you have 2 paragraphs for the processes, 2 paragraphs for your overall statement. Am I clear? I mean, 1 paragraph for your overall statement. Are we clear on this one? Ganiat, are you sleeping? Did you go to a night shift or something?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm on night too, and I'm still going to work by 7. Yeah? You need to try, you hear? It is well with you. Your effort will not be in vain. So yeah. Okay, from every look of things, I have people who are not ready to comply with this class at all. Let's see. Let's take them out. Okay. Any question? What happened to Sofiano? Where is Sofiano today? Where are the men in this class? It is well. Oh. No question, right?
question.
Okay,
I have a
go ahead.
question.
Ask your question.
Please, ma, the way you explain it now, is it just 2 paragraphs we now have after the overall, then the first paragraph,
there are 3
second
paragraphs all
paragraph?
in all. There are 3 paragraphs all in all. First paragraph is the first one
Overall.
where you have your overall statement and your question prompt that you paraphrased. Okay. Second paragraph is your main write-up, and third paragraph is part of your main write-up.
Okay.
That's the difference. That's one difference between writing task 1 and writing task 2. Writing task 1 is 3 paragraphs. Writing task 2 is 4 paragraphs. Okay? That's because writing task 1 have a conclusion. Writing task 2 does not have a conclusion. I mean, writing task 2 has a conclusion. Writing task 1 does not have a conclusion. Do you understand? In writing task 1, where you are made to compare and contrast, they ask you to compare data, make comparisons where necessary. You make your comparison as you go along. That will be better for you. And in that kind of write-up, you are writing on both of them at the same time. For instance, the highest for men is this, while that of women is this.
This flow chart is a bit confusing.
Which the flow chart I gave you. Do you have an example of any flow chart with you?
For now, I don't have anyone. Maybe
You have a
just put
screenshot
this
of any flow chart. Bring it, let's solve it. So that you know it's not confusing.
I will check some so that I will solve myself.
Cambridge 15, I was trying to look for flow chart. Did anybody come across flow chart in the writing? I didn't see, I've not seen. Maybe I've not finished, that's why. But what I've seen so far, I've not seen a flow chart. It's not like flow chart is compulsory anyway, but you may come across it. So it's a good thing for you to know how to write it so that when you find it in your exams, you will be able to write. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Please, if you come into this class and you don't have your video on, I'm still going to remove you again. If you can't have your video on, there's no need for you to join the class. My PC has no webcam.
Hello, ma.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, ma. I've been able
can
to find
hear.
one process.
Perfect. Can I see it?
Cambridge 15. Can
Cambridge
I share?
15. Cambridge 15.
Yes,
okay, let me see if I can help. I can make you share.
Page 72.
Page 72.
Page 72, Cambridge 15.
Okay, I think I have Cambridge 15. Do I not have it? Let me go to. I'm trying to open Cambridge. Let me open my Word and let's see so we can solve that. Sharp. Give me a minute, please. So now we are going to see that one. Cambridge 15, page 72, right? Okay. Let it open. It's still opening here. It's opening. So, as I was discussing with you on, somebody said it's confusing, but you didn't tell me exactly what is confusing you. This is exactly where the confusion is. Let's see though. No. Can be 15. Why are you not opening? I have it open on my phone, but I'm not working with my phone, so I can't use it. Page 72, you said, right? Wow. Oh God. You know, some of these documents can really take time opening. It's telling me not responding. Why is it telling me not responding now? I can't even see the number on the pages. Open now, please. I think I'm seeing it, but open now. Go. I don't seem to have a power over this computer at this time. I think that's one. You see, that's not a process graph. It's not opening. I'll still open it though. Let's see how I can.
Ma, let's ask her if she can hear you.
No, I have to start all over. Okay, let me make you a co-host. And let's see. Where is please? I saw her just now. Can you? Oh, Mr. Tunde is here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
You are welcome to our class today. Thank you for showing your face. Okay, peace. Peace, I just made you a co-host. You can share your screen now, okay? Share it while I try to see if I can do it here as well. Okay. Yeah.
This is the page.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can you make it bigger? Can we all see her screen, please? Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's it. All right, so the diagram below shows instant noodles. No, now, please. Okay, the diagram is showing how instant noodles is manufactured. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. You can see that there's also an arrow here like there was in the other one, isn't it? Altogether, if we want to follow our structure like we usually do, what do we do first? You underline your key points, your keywords. Just leave it the way it is, please. It's okay. Underline your keywords, all right? Then you get your synonyms. you paraphrase, and you get an overall statement, which makes your first paragraph. Your second paragraph and your third paragraph, which is like the main body of your write-up now, is going to be based on what you can identify from here. Okay? So let's count how many stages are here. From every look of things, they've done the counting for us. They have done, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that all? Yes, and then the labels, that's fine. Peace. Is it me or you who is controlling this thing now?
Can you see it, ma?
Please just leave it the way it was, okay?
I've left it, ma.
Okay, so we have 8 stages in all, 8 labeled stages in all. Now, based on this, we can divide it into 4. Okay, into 2. We'll divide it into 2, beginning from the first stage to the 4th stage. That will make our first paragraph. Then the 5th to the 8th will make our last paragraph. Okay, we'll make the second paragraph or the 3rd paragraph if we are including the overall statement. Now, if we say that I'm supposed to still be able to control this, even though you are a co-host. Please, can we go up again, please? Can we see the question prompt so that we can do our paraphrasing? Fine, thank you. All right, so can we get other words now? Synonyms for diagram below, synonyms. What do we use? The given diagram. Can we use that?
Give information.
It shows how instant noodles are made. Instant noodles. What other word can we have for instant noodles? Can we change it?
Pasta.
Pasta. How they are made, how they are produced, how they are manufactured. Peace, what happened?
I don't know what, my hand is mistakenly touched it, ma.
Okay. Go back to where we were so that we can continue the class. Just leave that page. Just leave it where we can see everything at a time. Is it not possible on your phone?
My hand mistakenly touched it. That was why. I'm sorry, ma.
But now your hand is still mistakenly touching it.
I've removed my hand.
Can we have the whole page so we don't have to disturb anymore? Can we just have the page, the whole page where we can see all of the questions? Just good, it's okay.
Is it enough?
It's okay, thank you. It's okay.
Okay, ma.
So now our overall statement, after we have gotten our synonyms, our overall statement will be, overall, there are about 8 stages involved, okay, in the production of pasta. Beginning from the storage silos and ending at labeling and sealing of the produced noodles. Now we have a first paragraph. In your first paragraph, in your second paragraph, where we're going to be talking about it, the first step in the production, in the manufacturing, or in making noodles, or in this production, is the storage silos, where flour is put into this storage and then proceeds to the mixer. Okay, this flour is subsequently mixed with water and oil and made to pass through a roller or through rollers. And the end product is the dough sheets. These dough sheets are rolled into strips. Okay. I'm just saying it. Is it still confusing you, Hannah? And then they are rolled into strips. So you need to put the words, the phrases that we said you will use for the description of your processes. Subsequently, consequently, followed by, next to, in between. Bring these phrases, bring these cohesive devices into play here now. And then put the words together to form your sentences and then your paragraphs consequently. After this, the process proceeds by the making of the noodle discs, where cooking oil is added into it and is allowed to dry or to go through drying, through the drying phase. It proceeds to where? Followed by, then next to it is where this product is put into cups and then vegetables and spices are added into it, okay? And then it is packaged with the labeling and seals put on it and made ready. That's the last stage, Abby. The thing is tiny here as well. And then the pasta is ready or your noodles is ready. So if you begin from, thank you, from storage, from where the flour is put into the silos and then mixed with water and oil, made into dough sheets. Okay, the dough sheets now proceeds through a machine to make strips. The next stage after the strip is made is where the strips are made into noodles discs. Then cooking oil is added into the discs, allowed to dry, and then made in cups where vegetable and spices is added to it, okay, and proceeds for labeling and sealing. What is confusing in this thing if you follow the arrow? Look at the arrow is coming down from the silos. And then from the rollers where the mixer is, we can see that water and oil is coming in from a different direction into it here, into the mixer. And this mixer, from there, it is now being rolled. And then it forms the dough sheets. From the dough sheet, it passes through something that makes it into strips. You can call that a machine or a device. It's made into dough strips. These dough strips are what is going to form the noodles discs at the end of the day. And then cooking oil is added into it and is allowed to dry. From there, it enters into cups. And while it is entering into these cups, vegetables and spices are added into it. It passes through another device again and proceeds for labeling and sealing. Is it still difficult? Answer now. Is it still difficult?
No, ma. No, ma.
Now you
No,
can stop
ma.
the share. I've stopped the sharing. Is this still difficult? Is anyone still finding process diagram difficult? Are you still finding it difficult?
No.
Ganiat, I know you are halfway with us. Are you finding this difficult? It's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So can we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
We can proceed, right? Imagine it's now that my own is opening. Anyway. Now we move over to a map, a floor map or a map. A floor map is a plan of a building. Okay, it can be a plan of a building and it's the same requirement, 150 words and all of those stuffs. 150 words, 20 minutes, because you have 1 hour for both task 1 and task 2. You must finish all of them in 1 hour. So here, what are we going to say about this? Where we have maps, I told us that we make use of our compass. Where we have the north, up, south, down, okay, east is on the right, yeah, if it's facing you, your east will be on your right side and your west will be on the left side. Topmost between the west and the north is northwest. Between the north and the east is northeast. Okay, between the east and the south is southeast, and between the south and the west we have southwest. Do we understand the map? You understand your compass, normal compass that we use for location. Okay, all right. So when we have something and we need to describe by location, we use the compass. But usually you will find the compass in your test. When you see the test question, you will usually see a compass. If you don't have a compass, then you are expected to use top, bottom, center, top right, top left, bottom right, and center. That is what you are going to be using for your description if you don't get a map. But every real test paper, okay, will always have a compass on it. And if you ever get one without a compass, it's not something that, you should be worried about. That way, you are going to be using center, right, left, top, top left, top right, bottom, bottom right, bottom left. That's what you are going to be using for your description. We are going to describe a map so that you can understand. When you see a map, your map can be 1, it can be 2. That is, there can be a single map for you and there can be a double map for you. When you have a double map, where you are made to describe changes that has happened over a particular period of time, you are expected to describe them simultaneously. Okay, where you have on the left side in map A, you have this and this and this, but in map B, maybe it has increased in size, maybe it has reduced in size, or maybe it's no longer there safe. So you're having your comparisons. When you see this question, you will find out that there's usually a compass, like I tried to tell you. If you are describing a map by the location, you have to use words like north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, southeast, and northwest. North, south, east, and west. So I have northeast, I have northwest, okay? Then if you are describing by location, you can say things like located on the northwest, north, south, southwest, north, south, east, west. If you are describing using center, bottom, and the rest of them, you use those words. That makes your work more precise, and it gives it that touch that you understand what you are doing. If you are going to talk about sizes of things that have increased, you can say maybe it has doubled, the size has doubled, or it is now twice its original size. That's for something that has increased maybe by ×2 or something. Or when it has reduced, for example, you can say it has reduced by either half its size, half its original size. Okay, if you want to talk about something that is closer or that is next to something, you can use words like next to or adjacent. If something is in the middle, you can say it is in the central part of the map. Okay, if you have to do with something that is not too close, you can use words like far away from. If it's very close, you can say closer to. Okay, so when we have a question that has to do with maps, what do? As we used to do, read it and understand it, paraphrase your keywords, okay, that are in the question where possible. Look for your compass so that you will know whether you can use it for description or not. If you don't have a compass, create one like I told you how to, top, bottom, top, right, top, left, and the rest of it. Brainstorm your key points for the answer, and then you work out your overall statement. Overall, what is happening? What are the major things that you can see? What are the major things that you can see? Overall, your overall statement is what you can see at a glance. Work out your overall statement, then the structure. Remember the structure that I told you, 3 paragraphs, okay? Go ahead, write your task, proofread your work, try to cross your T's and dot your I's so that you can score your correct marks. Okay? So you can have a single map, as I tried to say, or you can have a double map. When you have a single map, when you have given your overall statement and all of that, for a single map, you give your overall statement. In the body, as with the other tasks that we have always done, for your map, you need to identify a start point, a logical way to start. So you need to logically separate your data into paragraphs. Okay, separate them into paragraphs so that you can have good enough number of points for the different paragraphs that you are going to have. Like I told you, a good paragraph should be made up of how many sentences? 4 separate sentences put together with your cohesive devices. At least 4. You can have more. Remember, your words must be up to. One temptation here in this kind of question is you will have few words. So you need to write in such a way that your words must be up to 150. If it's exactly 150, well, okay. But sometimes you write a little bit above 150, maybe 160, 170 highest. So you don't miss out. Okay. Let's look for a sample that we can do. I've done this before as well. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, so we have a single map, and I'm looking for a double map as well. Let's see, can I have a double map here? Let's do this single map, then I'll get a double map and we'll also do it. I told you your map can be single or double, didn't I? Okay, so we have, oops, too small, too big. I'm sharing this screen with you. You can take a screenshot. Here in this diagram, we have a map that shows two different proposed locations for a camping ground. Two different proposed locations for a camping ground. It's a supposed location. It's a proposed one. It's not yet, a camping ground yet. It's a suggestion. So there are two different suggested locations. Okay. The diagram is showing us two separate locations, two separate sites suggested for a place to camp. So look at, you see this thing I'm touching here? That's your map. You will usually have, that's your compass, sorry. You usually will have a compass. So bring your compass to the middle of each of these so you can describe properly. Based on this compass, where is this thing located? This one with the Gulf, whatever, where is it located? When can we say it's located? Helen. Helen.
East. Northwest, south. Northwest.
Northeast.
East, south. East, ma. Northeast.
Who said northeast?
Northeast.
It's northeast. It's on the northeast. It's northeast. Okay, you are correct. Where will I say this is located?
Southeast.
South.
It's on the
Southeast.
southern side.
South.
This is north, south, east, and west. So southeast, like this, like this. Northeast, southeast. Where is this located?
South.
South.
Completely south. Where is this located?
Southwest.
This is south.
Thank you. Where is this
Southwest.
located? Where is this one located?
North.
Northwest.
Not south.
Northwest.
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 This is on the northwest. Okay. So now, where is the site? These are the two sites, okay, that are proposed. So this is site 1 and this is site 2. Now, the given diagram illustrates two different sites suggested for camping. Overall, site 1 is smaller in size than site 2. Site 2 is located, furthermore, if I can say in addition, site 2 is located on the north, the south, no, this is north, southeast, and west, on the northwest, while site 1 is located on the south, north, southeast, south, north, southeast, and west. So southwest. This one is on the southwest. This one is on the north, south, east, and west. West. Southwest, northwest. Abi? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be my overall statement. That would be my overall statement if I pick that. Another overall statement I can say from here is that this is what? Transport, right? Very close to site 1. Am I correct? We also have, at least across the road here, we have the airport close to site 1. While for site 2, very close to it is where, like maybe let's say for boating, this may be boating. And this is what now? Horse riding, right?
A recreation.
Okay.
So we can say it is, so I can say that overall, I can say that overall, site 1 is closer to transportation amenities, while site 2 is closer to what? Recreational activities. That's another overall. And you are correct for both of them. Remember, this is a single map. All of them are in one box, but there are just 2 maps, 2 different maps in different locations, showing me the proposed sites for 2 proposed sites for a camping ground. I'm now going to describe this site, then describe this site. So my paragraph 1, my second paragraph, which is my body paragraph 1, I'm going to choose to discuss one site and choose to discuss second site in the second one. Now I need a logical point to start from. I'm going to start with the fact that transportation, I'm going to start with the location of site 1 first of all. Where is it located? I'll mention it. What are the things that are close to it or that are around it generally? It is very close to transportation. It therefore makes access easy. And around it, we have the grocery shop, not too far away. Okay. And in this site, you mention the location of the grocery site and the location of the golfing site as well. Okay. If you go to this location and then this one too, it's just way across the road. Now, if I go to this site, I will mention the location of this site. I'll mention the things that are close to it and where they are located, one after the other. Then I'll mention, look at this one as well. I'm going to mention it. That is by location. Then by size, I'll come here and tell you that site 2 is twice the size, almost twice the size of site 1. Is it not correct? Why size 1 is smaller than size 2. When you do this, what have you done? You have summarized the information. You have reported the main features. The main features are what we can see here. And you have also made comparisons, because the time you are telling me that site 1 is smaller than site 2, you are comparing both of them. As you are telling me that site 1 is closer to transport amenity, you are making comparison between them. So you don't need to say that, okay, I've finished writing, it's time for me to come and start writing the one on comparisons. No, you are making your comparisons along as you write. Do we get the point? Who does not understand? Who does not understand? Vera, where is your confusion? I've unmuted you. Touch your screen. Vera.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said the diagram, to me, it means different things. Like the one that has a like a yacht, to me is like a seaport. So I'm thinking that the diagrams
Anything
may
you
have
want to call
different
it.
meaning. Okay.
They may have different, like remember in my explanation, I told you that when they don't have a name, you can decide to name them.
Okay.
And when you name them, just make sure you are saying the location where it is, so that your examiner will know that this thing that is located on the south, this is the one you are calling so and so thing.
Okay.
Is that where your confusion is?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
You can name it anything you want to name it, as long as it's close to it and it can describe it. There's no penalty. After all, they didn't give you any name and you are giving the right description. If you say it's a yacht, it's fine. If you say it's a seaport, it's fine. Okay? Who else is confused, and what is the confusion? So it means that you understand this explanation. Now let's describe a double map, where we have a double map and you have to describe one map and describe another map. Let's describe a double map. Let's see, double map. I thought I found one. Yeah. So when you are given two maps, the key point there is for you to compare both maps and to highlight the main changes that have occurred. Okay. Here, it is majorly the things that are either being added or being removed or being turned into different things.
Yes, the water will stay for 3 days.
Okay? Do you understand? When you have a double map, the aim of the double map is for you to highlight the changes that have occurred. And what changes are you likely going to be looking for? You are looking for things that have been added to the second map, or things that have been removed from the other map, okay? Or things that have been turned into a different thing entirely. Those are the things that you are going to be looking for. So when you want to write about things that have been added, what are you going to say? What are the phrases or what are the tenses that you are going to be using? When you want to describe changes that has happened and you are using what we call the passive tenses, the past passive tenses, what do you say for something that has been added? You can say it was built, or was erected, or was constructed. When something is removed, you can say that it was cut down, okay, or it was replaced, or it was taken out. Do you understand? When something is changed, what do you say? You can say maybe it was converted to, or it was turned into, or it was transformed, or it was replaced with, or it was changed into. When something is there and nothing happened to it, it's stable, it stayed the same, you can say that that thing remained the way it was. It remained. How do you structure your double map? The same way we structure the other one. The only thing is that you can also look for a dividing feature in the map, like a river or a road in the middle or a roundabout, so that each of the paragraph will now discuss each of the sites in those maps. Or you can just get a logical point and pick your start point to begin your description, and then state clearly where these things are located on the map, remembering that your report should always make sense without the examiner having to look at your question. After you have described the location, then you can now talk about the things that are removed and the things that are added, where they were located, where they were removed from, or where they were taken to. If something is erected newly, you can talk about where the erection is, where did they put it. We are going to do an example. Okay, we'll do an example. The same way we did for the other one is how we're going to do. But here, you will be talking about the areas and the things that has happened there, okay, along as you go. So let's see. Share my screen. Can you take a screen grab if you want? The maps below show how the town of Harborne changes from 1936 to 2007. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where necessary. Have you seen a compass on these maps? You see that every standard question will always carry a compass. Look for it. Some of us just see it and you think it's another feature. We don't recognize it. So please. And the way the map itself, the thing has divided itself for us into north, south, east, and west. Can you see it?
Yes, ma.
Are you not lucky if you find this kind of map in your exam? You don't have to stress. So that even if it's to use top, bottom, center, top left, top right, you know, bottom left, bottom right, you will still be able to do this description very well. So what do we do? Underline keywords, paraphrase, get an overall statement. In this map, I need like 4 overall statements. I need about 4 overall statements. Vera, you are going to give me 1 overall statement. Okay. Christiana, you give me 1 overall statement. Is Sufiano back? Can't see him anywhere. Helen, you give me 1 overall statement, and Hannah, you give me 1 overall statement. Different overall statements. Anyone somebody has said, don't say it again. Have a look at this and tell me what your overall statement may be for this kind of question. Vera.
I'm still studying the diagram.
Sorry.
Okay, okay. The overall. I didn't do many bits again. Overall, please, ma, let somebody start. Let me while I go through the map.
Hannah.
Let somebody's. Okay.
Hannah.
Ma, I'm still studying it, ma.
Christiana.
Let me try, ma.
Go ahead.
I would say in 2007, and that's the first tree right now, that the first tree here is located in the northeast. is located in the northeast. Then in 1936, in this territory we have 3 1 year. Then in 2017, how would I put it down? In 2007, okay, in 1938, in northeast we have territory at the why in 2017 we have 1 tree there.
Are you going to be mentioning 1, 2, 3, 4 in your overall statement? Remember, no figures and all of that.
Okay.
So overall, there have been significant changes in the northeast with less trees in 2007 from what it was before. There are less number of trees. Can say there have been deforestation or something. Overall, north, south, east, and west. East is on this side. It's not even northeast though. North, south, east, and west. It's not west that there are trees. Abby, I can say overall, when we see, what about the northeast side? The northeast, overall, there have been significant changes on the northeast as there are now more residential areas. Can't you see? It was river before. Now there are more residential areas. Abi, am I not seeing correctly?
Yes.
There are more residential areas, okay? More buildings have been erected. Can you see? The river is out and there are more buildings for residential area in 2007. Overall, there has been significant changes as shown by the construction of a shopping center in the center of the town in 2007, where there was none previously in 1936. Overall, there has been tremendous transformation, okay, on, that's not east, now it is east. On the eastern part, okay, with the conversion of the government offices into a museum and the erection of a golf course in place of a farmland in 2007. Do you see my overall statement is even many? Overall, there has been a significant transformation on the southeast. Is it not north, south, east, and west? Okay, southwest, with the construction of a major road in 2007 instead of the circle path that existed previously. Do we understand what I'm doing?
Yes.
From every look of things, I have picked every part of this graph and I have picked one thing and I've used as an overall statement. Beginning from the trees to the river changed to residential area. I talked about the farmland and the government offices that have been converted into a museum and the erection of a golf course. I've talked about this shopping complex, shopping center in the middle of the town. And I've talked about the road that was constructed from the circle path that was there before. Have a look. What you can see on a single look at this map will make your overall statement. You can have two changes put together. You can say in addition, it's part of it. Nobody is going to penalize you. In fact, it makes your work good. Do we understand?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
I'm going to, then when you have done that, you identify a logical start point and you start your description. Your description is going to be by location. If you pick the north, tell me the changes that happened in the north. When you go to the east, tell me the changes that happened in the east. If you go to the south, do the same for all of the locations, and then you conclude. You are not writing a conclusion, no. I'm just telling you that you will pick a significant thing and talk about it. From every look of things in this graph, there are 5 locations that there has been changes, okay? All of the locations have experienced one change or the other, or are you not seeing it?
Yes.
Now, they have totally scrapped the sweet shop and the butcher's shop, and they made it a supermarket here. The post office remained the same. So you need to mention what remained the same. Remember, I told you, didn't I? What remained? Then the flower shop has been converted to a travel agent shop, a travel agent office or whatever. The bank, the library, the post office, they remain the same in the same location, occupying the same space. There's no changes to them. Government offices, the structure is still there, but the name has been changed to a museum. The farmland have been constructed into a golf center. And the riverine area, there are now erections of residential buildings in the riverine area. The circle part has been converted into a main road, and there have been deforestation on one side where there's now a reduction of the trees. I have talked about everything inside this graph. Who is confused?
I see you.
Who did not hear me?
I see you.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Somebody just said to me, after
Sorry?
in the overall, can we just pick up on any changes that we notice and mention it
But
in the
that's what I
overall?
said. But that's
Okay.
what I said.
Okay.
You
And
pick the
second
changes you notice. Your second paragraph. What is wrong with the second paragraph?
and the second paragraph, am I going to explain one map in the second paragraph and the other one in the word, or I will compare the two in the two paragraphs?
But what did I just do? I identified a logical start point, and I started mentioning the items in each of those graphs, each of those maps, and I made comparisons. Did I discuss one map and go to the other? Is that what I did?
That's what I
Did
want.
I discuss one map, then I went to the other? Is that what I did?
No.
That's not what I did. Okay? What I did is to compare as I go along. I told you that you identify a logical start point, and then you identify which item am I going to put as paragraph 1, paragraph 2. I mean, my body in the body paragraphs now. So what I did was merely picking on all of these things and discussing them. Now you can decide to divide the graph like this from the middle, or you can decide to pick the items. Maybe you pick these items on the north, that's the trees, the river, and maybe the circle being changed and discuss as first body paragraph. Then come to second body paragraph and discuss in the center and the government offices and farm, what they transformed or changed into, or how they remain the same. Because this, with one of these, will make more points for you than taking 3 of these and maybe 1 of this and this. Do you get my point? I'm just thinking of where you have more paragraphs. So if you discuss 1, 2, 3, that is the circle part the trees and the river by their location and their size, if you discuss what they have transformed into here by the location and their size, then that is one paragraph. Then come down in your second paragraph to discuss what has happened in the center of the town and on the eastern, north, south, east, and west, of the town, in the eastern part, and then the northeast. This is going towards the northeast as well. Tawa, do you understand now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Is anyone still confused? Do we all understand if you see a double map now? Can you solve it?
I wrote an overall statement. You did not say it.
I didn't say overall statement. Wait, who is asking the question first of all? Let me send you one knock. Who is asking for overall statement now? Let's know so that we can answer.
No, I said I wrote an overall statement.
Oh, where did you write it? Okay.
On chat.
Yeah, deforestation. It's correct, but you need to add something else to it. It's too short.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. All
Any
right,
question? Any question? Yes, go ahead. Ask your question, Vera.
Okay. Now, while you are giving the overall statements, you made mention of the features. I was thinking that I don't need to mention these features since in your paragraph 2 and 3, you're going to write about them.
Are you writing about all the features? Are you mentioning all the features, or you are mentioning the overall ones? When we were writing overall statement for the other processes, did we not mention that there are about 10 stages in the production of beer, beginning from the malted barley to the packaging? Did we not do that? So what's the difference in this one?
Okay. I was just thinking that you only mentioned that significant.
No, you mentioned what is the change that you have seen. You only don't mention numbers and figures in overall statement, especially in a graph, like you saying that there has been a fluctuation of about 10% or 15%. Those are the numbers we don't want in your overall statement. Do you understand?
Okay.
You can mention the stages, you can mention, the changes that has taken place. You can mention the number of stages of something, the beginning and the end. That way your examiner knows that you're focused and you have gone through this thing before you are making an overall statement. If you don't mention what has happened, how will I know? How will I be sure that you actually had a close look at this map before you started your discussion? Do you understand? Of course, the map is even showing, it's telling us that there are the changes that has occurred in the town. So you telling me that there has been significant changes, you've not made any difference. You've not said anything different from what I have given you as a question. Do you understand? The question says that the graph, the map is showing you the changes that has occurred over this period of years in so and so country or so and so village. And now you are telling me there has been significant changes on the north without telling me what has happened on the north. I know there are changes. I want you to discuss the changes. And that's why you're here. Do you understand now?
Yes.
It makes more sense and it keeps you on the safe side. There's nothing like too much information in the exam. Okay, if the examiner feels that the information you are giving is too much, let her get rid of it. Pick the one she wants so that you can be on the safe side and go your way. Than you holding information and at the end of the day, maybe what you have even given is not totally correct. Okay? All right. Christiana, you were raising your hand at some point. Yes, please. What's your question?
Okay, you. Actually, it was what I was asking about. I just wanted to know if I have to pick two pictures to compare between the 2 years in the map, the different
You
years in the map.
you can
Maybe I
pick two
can pick
things.
two pictures of what happened in 1936 and compare it with what happened.
You can pick two things by linking them with maybe furthermore in addition. Okay, but be very specific with your information. Be
Yes,
specific
ma'am.
with the info you are giving, please. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, okay, ma'am. Yes.
Any more questions? Any further questions concerning the classes we just had?
Yes, ma. Hello, ma.
Yeah.
Hello, ma.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go
Thank you
ahead.
for the lecture, ma.
You're welcome.
Yeah. For the overall, can we have more than one comparison?
Yes, I just answered that as a matter of fact.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other question?
Hello, ma. Well
Yeah.
done, ma. Please,
Thank
I discover you use there have been a significant changes, tremendous transformation, significant transformation. Can you give us more of this, ma?
Go and check the dictionary.
Thank you, ma.
But these are tremendous transformation. But I did mention them, didn't I? When there have been changes, didn't I mention it at the beginning of the class? Did I not mention them, Hannah?
Ma, you mentioned.
Did I not mention them? So why are you still asking? When I was saying it, where did your eyes go to?
I was able to jot like 3, so I want more.
So if there are changes, if something has changed, what if I say there has been a replacement of so and so with what about replacement, or it has been changed into something? What if I say it was converted? There have been changes over time where this and this were converted to this. You know, like I did mention the government offices being changed or transformed into a museum. Okay, you can say it has been converted into a museum.
Okay, ma. So we can
Or
use.
you can say it has been turned into a museum.
Okay, thank you, ma. I thought there are specific words that we can
Oh, those
use.
are the specific words, okay? Because I was saying tremendous, I was saying significant. Yes, now you can say dramatic if you want. Any word that you think will suit you. Don't go and speak Oyibo that the woman will be confused or the man will be confused, okay? Let's just write reasonably. So if it's dramatic, tremendous, significant, how about if you put those three self, it's enough.
Thank you.
You need to practice more with them. If you practice more with them, you will understand them and you'll be able to get more. Any further question, please? No.
Hello, ma. It's not a question. You have not replied to my.
Did you write anything?
Right that I read before.
But I did now. You said overall there are structural development from 1939 to 2027, Abi.
The assignment you gave to us, you have not replied to me.
Oh.
Yes, I did.
Oh, the assignment that you did.
Not today on the assignment to this one, ma. The assignment you gave. Yes, ma. Please don't cover your face.
Saturday. Today is Saturday. Tuesday. I'm not sure.
Yes, ma.
I'm on night duty all through. Even the Tuesday class, I'll sleep and wake up before we have it. Let me see. I know that there are 4 questions I've not attended to, 4 people. And then the people that did correction, I just read them. I saw that there have been changes. Really, I must applaud this class. Let me tell you people, good news. There has been another result between the last time and now that the person passed. Although it was narrow escape for her. In her writing, 6.5. But the most important thing is that she passed. Speaking was 8. Listening was 8. reading was 7.5, then what's it called? Writing was 6.5. So she had an overall band of 7.5. She's very quiet. She doesn't want to talk about it, and I'm not going to talk about it or mention her name as well. But this is just to encourage you that IELTS is doable. You can actually pass. So I've seen that those that made correction, those that corrected their work, the people I sent, I corrected their work and they have written another one. There has been a good, okay, to some extent, it shows that you have improved. I've not responded because I've not responded to some people's first one. So it will not be proper if I have not finished with somebody with all of the first assignments, then I start doing your corrections. That's why I've not responded. I will try my best to do that. So it's a good thing that you reminded me.
Okay,
Now I will try as much as possible. Tuesday class is still going to be writing, so that we can finish writing task 1 like we finished writing task 2. Then when we have all of these videos, if you have questions, you can now be referring to the videos on YouTube, or you can just come into the class and we refresh. It won't look like it's new. You know, we keep having new people every day. That way we can now refer those new people to the YouTube videos. Then when they watch it, they can join the main
lectures are
class.
different every time.
The what is different? The explanation.
The video, every time we watch it, is not the same thing. Yes, it's not the same thing. It needs to be joining the video all the time.
The class, that is why it is teaching. When a teacher comes and gives you the same thing every day, it means that teacher is not learning himself or herself. It's your ability to explain one thing in different ways for people to understand. That's what makes you a teacher. I had to do a training, and that is part of what they talk about when they train you to be a teacher. You can't just be saying one thing in the same way every day. The most important thing is that you have conveyed the message clear enough for the students to understand. And then you did not take away the important message. Okay? You have not changed anything from what it is. What I am doing in the course of this teaching that you're talking about is like writing, where you have synonyms explaining the same thing. You are paraphrasing the same thing. The information is the same, but the words you are using to explain them is different. That's what is happening with this teaching.
Different.
That's what I want you people to do. So please, you can attend all the classes and you can watch all the videos again. It will give you, like, if I explain something today and it's like you are confused, then you hear the explanation again. It gives you like better knowledge of that particular thing. Okay?
Yes.
So we will go to, as long as I'm not contradicting the information I'm giving you. I think that's the basic thing. That's the most important thing. So I'll go through your work and I'll
there's
see
no contradiction.
how I can do the correction, and then send to as many as I have not responded to. For the sake of this work, while I was telling you to take screenshots, go ahead, do those tasks. All the tasks that we have done today, 3 of them, go ahead and do them as a task. We discussed them in class, do it and send it. Now, when you are sending an email to somebody, as you click on your mail, you will see your email address will come up. It will tell you to, then you type the person's email address. There's always a subject. Subject, writing task 1 assignment. Writing task 1 assignment. When you just say assignment or you don't put any heading, you just go ahead and you are typing. It will just appear and will not know what it is. You know, this will help me to group the data. It will help me to group the mails so that I can attend. For instance, maybe my mother's spirit is resting on me, and she's asking me to start correcting or to go through writing task 1, and there's no subject in your own. I won't know that it is writing task 1.
No, I put writing task 1.
It's not
I
you
wrote
talking
writing
of.
task
I've
1
not
on
even
it.
gone through your work. Let me not
Okay,
lie
ma.
to you. It's not you I'm talking to the class in general. Please, let's always let our mails have a subject so that it can make it easy for whoever is sorting them to sort them out. Is that okay?
Please, ma, I don't have the email address to forward my whole assignment.
Who is talking?
It's Helen, ma.
Overseeing nurses IELTS@gmail.com.
Okay, that's the email, ma.
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's on the Telegram group as well. You will find it there.
Okay.
Nobody is asking any
Thank
question.
you, ma.
Okay.
I'm grateful.
In the absence of any other question, at least I did more than 2 hours. I stayed more than the 2 hours. So that's a fine one. You can all go and rest now so that some of us can go to work. Good night, everybody. Please remember to practice. Keep practicing because they say practice is what makes perfect. Practicing will make you perfect. Good night. Have a great night rest. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
ma. Thank you, ma.